welcome to friends of the Colorado Hebrew Chorale from near and far. Hello, Ellie. Hi, Helene. We're glad to see you, and to those of you who I do not know or do not know well. Oh, Karen, who is in Grand Junction, and Joni, who I believe is here in Denver. Robert, all of you, welcome. Jill, of course, welcome. And thank you, Jill, for making this part happen so easily. To introduce Steve Brodsky, well, it's kind of hard, but he was already quite the presence when we came to Colorado, and that was just 30 and a half years ago. Steve has been everywhere and done everything. That's about the fastest way I can describe all of the things that he's done. But among the many wonderful things that he has done for our greater Denver Jewish music community has been as a song leader extraordinaire. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. And for those of you who do not know him yet, you are in for a great treat. So Steve also has, perhaps more than anyone else on this particular call, has the wonderful and direct connection with the late Debbie Friedman, and we are honored that Steve is here to share some of his favorite Debbie Friedman classics in song and in story. So welcome everyone, and take it away, Steve. Erev Tov.
Thank you, Carol. Thanks so much for inviting me to be here. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you all. Jill, by the way, is my wife, if you didn't know, so she kind of has to be here. Not really. I was actually a little surprised that she's on the call. She hears me sing all the time, but it's wonderful to be here with all of you. And again, thanks. It's an honor and a privilege. And I'm amazed that you had so many programs during these really difficult couple of years. That's incredible. And keep up the good work. We need as much Jewish music as we can get. So Carol reached out and asked me to talk a little bit about Debbie Friedman and to share some of my experiences and some of my favorite songs. I had the honor and the privilege of really getting to know Debbie pretty well, considering her to be a friend. I got to go to her apartment in New York one time, which was kind of a wild experience. I spent a lot of time with her at an event that some of you may be familiar with called Havana Shira, which is a song leading training ground that happens every year at the Olin St. Ruby Institute in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. And Debbie started that program along with Cantor Jeff Klepper many, many years ago as a way of bringing music to people who were on the front lines of teaching it. And so I got to hang out with Debbie quite a lot of laughs. She was quite the personality. There was one time when she performed at Temple Emmanuel. This is many, many years ago. I can't even tell you what year it is, but it was probably in the early 90s. It was after she started to have health issues, and I needed to actually pick her up physically and carry her up the back steps onto the bima at Temple. And of course, she made a joke about me trying to grab her in a place that I, had no business being. And so she was just wickedly funny. And it's hard to believe that we just observed her 11th Yahrzeit. She passed away in January of 2011. And the world is a much less bright place without Debbie Friedman. But I'll tell you a little bit about her as we sing some songs tonight. I do want to make a shameless plug for this publication, which is called Sing Unto God, the Debbie Friedman Anthology. This is published by Transcontinental Music Publications. It's an amazing, you can see how thick it is. I counted them up. There are 236 compositions in this book, including 30 pieces that had never been available or published before. And this is kind of the ultimate resource. This is really a fantastic book. There's a lot of history, a lot of stories, a lot of tributes in here. It was published after her passing. And I'm actually putting a link in the chat so that if you're interested, you can go and buy it. I want to encourage you also to buy it directly from Transcontinental Music, which is the premier publisher of Jewish music in the United States. You can get it on Amazon, And if you're a Prime member, it'll come in, 6 hours, delivered by, drone, and dropped in your front yard. And you'll have free shipping. But that doesn't really help the Jewish music world. So if you're going to buy it, go directly to Transcontinental Music, please, and buy it from them. It just helps keep the money kind of in the family, if you will. So Debbie was born in 1951, and she was definitely a child of the 50s and the 60s and the early 70s. And she grew up listening to all the music that all of us who were born in that time listened to. Peter, Paul, and Mary, Joan Baez, Judy Collins, James Taylor, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, all that folk music that was so popular at the time. And as an early teen, Debbie really started to recognize that there was a disconnect between the music that she was hearing in synagogue. She grew up in a family that was very active in the Jewish community, in the Reform community, and she grew up mostly in St. Paul, but she lived in a lot of different places in her life. And she said that she had a big realization one day as she was sitting in synagogue listening to the cantors sing beautifully songs that had been written in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s, and realized that no one was singing along. Everyone was sitting there listening to these big sort of operatic pieces of music, and no one was able to really participate or sing along. And that really clicked something in Debbie's mind. And so she began to write music and to experiment with the genre of music that she was familiar with, that Peter, Paul, and Mary, Joan Baez, Joan Collins kind of music. And that's certainly a strong precedent in the Jewish community. So much of that music that she had heard in the synagogue sounded like German beer drinking songs from the pubs of Munich and Berlin in the 30s and the 40s, right? You can just hear the beer sloshing back and forth, right? So we've always had a tradition of borrowing from the culture in which we live and making those musical styles and genres our own. And so that's what Debbie really began to do. And she was really one of the first people to begin to do this. 1972, she released an album called Sing Unto God, which blew away a lot of people, including a lot of cantors. And it really appealed to the teens and the youth groupers that she was a part of at the time. And she was a song leader from camp, and she started to introduce this music into the Jewish world. The very first piece that she ever wrote, and as I said before, she wrote many, many, many pieces of music in her life. The very first piece was a setting of the Shema and the Ve'ahavta. And it's interesting because the Ve'ahavta, the words of this version are in English, which was really the lingua franca of the time in Reform synagogues in particular. There wasn't a lot of Hebrew. Also, interestingly, it was the old Union prayer book. If any of you are familiar with that book, it's a lot of these and thys and thous, right? And you shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart. That was the text. And it's been updated, and I'm going to actually sing you the updated version because the these and thys and thous, I just can't do it. I'm sorry. But so we begin with this Shema. I want to encourage all of you to sing along at home. Shema. I need to put the capo on. Here we go. Sorry. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Adonai Echad Baruch shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you on this day shall be in your heart, shall be in your heart, and you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and you shall speak of them when you're sitting in your house, when you're walking by the way, and when you're lying down, and when you're rising up, and when you're rising up, and you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be for frontlets between your eyes, and you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and upon your gates, and upon your gates, that you may remember and do all of my commandments, and be holy unto your God, unto your God, unto your God. So Debbie wrote a lot of liturgy, a lot of prayers and blessings, pieces that could be used in the worship service, because she was trying to address that issue of people being able to sing along, to know the liturgy, to know the music. And she really was a consummate teacher of liturgy. And she also was very, very knowledgeable about text and Torah. She was a real scholar of Torah. And this next piece I'm going to do, Carol mentioned before, this is Lechi Lach, which was based on a couple of verses from Genesis chapter 12, where God says to Abraham, Lech Lecha, go forth for yourself to a place that I will show you. And this was released as part of an album called And You Shall Be a Blessing. Debbie had been popular and well known in a sort of limited way until this album came out in 1989. And in 1989, she really exploded with songs like Lechi Lach, Misha Berach, which we'll get to in a minute, liturgical music that was beautiful and powerful and moving, and that could be easily sung and used by cantors and song leaders in synagogue life. And it just sort of took her to the next level in terms of popularity. The other thing that this song points out is that Debbie was a staunch feminist. And the song, the text is Lech Lecha, which is the male form of the command to go forth, but she turned it and made it Lechi Lach, which is the female form. And she did that a lot in her music, and it was something that was really unheard of. Actually, it made her a few enemies along the way. There were some very traditional cantors who really couldn't abide by that. But especially in the liberal world and the reform world, people embraced it. And of course, these songs are classics now. So, Lechi Lach. Lechi Lach, to a land that I will show you. Lech Lecha, to a place you do not know. Lechi lach. On your journey I will bless you, and you shall be a blessing, and you shall be a blessing, and you shall be a blessing. Lechi lach. The other thing about this song is that it takes it really beyond the scope of a piece of biblical text, right? This song speaks to all of us. Anyone who is on a journey, anyone who is facing the unknown, anyone who needs strength and courage to move on in their lives. And this was a point in Debbie's life where she was writing a lot of music that had to do with this theme, speaking really right to our hearts. Second verse. Lechi lach, and I will make your name great. Lech lecha, and all shall praise your name. Lechi lach, to a place that I will show you. L'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, lechi lach. And you shall be a blessing, and you shall be a blessing, and you shall be a blessing. Lechi lach. The other piece of music that was on this same recording, and You Shall Be a Blessing, is Misha Berach, which is almost for certain Debbie's most popular and well-known piece of music. And it's so interesting because those of you who live in a more traditional world than I do, a traditional Jewish world, are very familiar with the idea of a Misha Berach, right? A blessing. We have Misha Berach for all kinds of things. Misha Berach, may the one who blessed our ancestors, Avotenu ve'imotenu, our fathers and our mothers. We say this for a wedding anniversary, for a couple who's about to be married, for a special birthday, for all kinds of occasions we offer a Misha Berach. This particular Misha Berach that Debbie wrote is for healing, asking for healing. And at the time, at least in the Reform movement, this liturgy was pretty much unknown. The spiritual idea that we can pray for healing of other people and bring healing to other people and even offering blessings, this was not a big thing in 1989. And Debbie brought this music to us, and this has become really, for a lot of people, the heart and soul of our worship experience. And the number of people who I see with tears in their eyes or just deeply moved every time we sing this song is really quite something. And it just goes straight to the heart. And again, she included both the fathers, Avotenu, and the mothers, Imotenu, in this blessing. Misha Berach Avotenu Mikor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say oh, well, enough serious stuff. Debbie was really a consummate teacher. If any of you ever went to a Cage conference and saw her work with the Cage Chorale, I know some of you probably did, and I had that experience a couple of times. She was an amazing teacher, an amazing mentor, and she wrote a lot of music for young children, like really young children, preschoolers. She had an album called Shirim Al Gagalim, Songs on Wheels. She had another album called The Aleph Bet. And this is one of her silly little funny pieces of music that, if you're like me, I can't tell you how many times I've been like, what is that word? What is that letter? Aleph, Bet, Vet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet. Oh yes, it's a kuf or whatever, right? I see you laughing. We all do the same thing, but for so many people, this is how we learn the Aleph Bet, by this song. So, it's kind of a call and response thing that's really hard to do over Zoom. I can see your lips moving, so join in when it's your turn, and I'll know that you're singing. And when we get to the third time through, you go first, so I'll wait for you, and then I'll sing my part. Here we go. While we're here in Hebrew school, we're going to have some fun and sing the Hebrew alphabet, a song for everyone. It's going to be quite simple, 'cause all you have to do is sing the letters after me. Then I'll sing after you. Here we go. Aleph, Bet, Vet. Gimel, Dalet, Hey. Gimel, Dalet, Hey. Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet. Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet. Yud, Kaf, Chaf. Yud, Kaf, Chaf. Lamed, Mem, Nun. Lamed, Mem, Nun. Samech, Ayin, Pei, Fei. Samech, Ayin, Pei, Fei. Tzadik, Kuf, Resh. Tzadik, Kuf, Resh. Shin, Sin, Tav. Let's learn the Aleph Bet, simple as it can be. You'll learn the Aleph Bet if you sing the letters after me. Each letter has a name and a sound that it always makes. Now let's sing the special chorus. We'll have fun, it will not bore us. It's the Aleph Bet. Here we go. Aleph, Bet, Vet. Gimel, Dalet, Hey. Gimel, Dalet, Hey. Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet. Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet. Yud, Kaf, Chaf. Yud, Kaf, Chaf. Lamed, Mem, Nun. Lamed, Mem, Nun. Samech, Ayin, Pei, Fei. Samech, Ayin, Pei, Fei. Tzadik, Kuf, Resh. Tzadik, Kuf, Resh. Shin, Sin, Tav. Now Debbie would always put a dramatic key change into the song at this point. Let's try it once again. Practice the Aleph Bet. Each time we sing our song, then the easier the letters get. You sing it first this time. Sing it loud, let me see your lips moving. I will watch you getting better as you sing each Hebrew letter of the Aleph Bet. You start it. Aleph, Bet, Vet. Gimel, Dalet, Hey. Gimel, Dalet, Hey. Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet. Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet. Yud, Kaf, Chaf. Yud, Kaf, Chaf. Lamed, Mem, Nun. Lamed, Mem, Nun. Samech, Ayin, Pei, Fei. Samech, Ayin, Pei, Fei. Tzadik, Kuf, Resh. Tzadik, Kuf, Resh. Shin, Sin, Tav. Each letter has a name and a sound that it always makes. Together they're the alphabet. Awesome. That was fun. Thank you. Thank you for singing along. So, it's getting late. It's a Sunday night. I know that there's a football game that's probably over by now, but I could go on all night long. There's so many amazing songs that Debbie wrote. Sing unto God, sing a new song. Oh, sing praises to God. Give thanks to him with a song. Oh, sing praises unto the Lord your God. Oh, say shalom bimromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. And then I always get a big kick out of the fact that the Chabad Lubavitch community has adopted Debbie's Havdalah melody kind of as their own. They sing it quite differently. They're like, right? I like to sing it so slow and pretty and heartbreakingly beautiful as she recorded it. Yeah, la 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 la, yeah, la la la, yeah, la la. That's certainly become part of our lives and our soundtrack. And always one with a sense of humor. I am a Latka, I'm a Latka, and I am waiting for Hanukkah to come. I am a Latka, I'm a Latka, I am waiting for Hanukkah to come. Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 ba-dum. Hey, I've made a whole career out of doing Hanukkah concerts based around that song. So one of my favorites. But I had kind of forgotten about this one. We'll close with this little blessing. And we used to sing this all the time at Temple Emmanuel. It was like our go-to closing song all the time. And I kind of forgot about it. And then I just sort of came across it the other day and I fell in love with it again. And we sang it yesterday morning at Shabbat services. Very simple phrase from Psalm 115. Va'anachnu nivarech Yah me'ata ve'ad olam. We will bless God now and always. Hallelujah. It goes like this. V'anachnu mivarech Yah me'ata ve'ad olam, me'ata ve'ad olam, me'ata ve'ad olam. Hallelujah. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a real pleasure.
Awesome.
Um, I appreciate
Thank you,
the space.
Steve. This is just a delight, just a
Thank
delight.
you.
I know that I speak for everybody here in Zoom and everybody who will be watching the recording of this at some time that they're not asleep after having gotten off a plane from Israel or any other excuse they may have had. For our East Coast buddies, we're always thankful that you're here. And just so you know, I think we've hit the snowstorm from Boston all the way down to Virginia, but you guys are making it work for us, and we're thrilled that we made it all happen tonight. Thanks to everyone. Thanks also to the Colorado Hebrew Chorale. Thanks to our board of directors, and the shameless plug on our end continues to be, yes, we make brilliant artists such as Steve Brodsky available, but we don't mind if you support us. No amount of money is too small. And this is how we keep our other programs going. Starting this come in February, we will have not one, not two, but 3 different online programs. The resumption of our Jewish Broadway on February 6th, the resumption of L'chaim, a taste of Jewish music, this time from Berlin, on Tuesday, February 8th, and Text and Context on Sunday, the 20th of February, with a visit one more time to Stephen Sondheim, the second of 3 sessions devoted to him. Thanks, everyone. Again, don't want to keep you too long on the call, but we're grateful that you're here. Steve, thank you so much. There are 2 anecdotes real fast. Like many people here, I also remember teaching Aleph Bet Vet back in the 80s when it first came out. It was like catnip in Hebrew school. It was just and every song from that book, the kids could not get enough. Seth and I and our family, we spent the next, from 85 to 91, we were in Israel when we returned to the United States. It was to Denver, a place we had not really been to before except in passing for other reasons. And quickly I found myself at Temple Emmanuel for lots of reasons. But one thing that was said very quickly to me is that you need to know Rabbi Foster's favorite song is L'chi Lach. So I think that's still true. Anyway, thank you, Steve, for making all of this happen. And to everybody else, Erev Tov, I am turning off the recording and waving. Bye-bye.